When I watch Buffalo, Greg Cosell talks about this all the time. They just call plays. There's not a lot of rhythm to their offense. I like their first drive in the second half for Buffalo a lot. They mixed it up, tight end, wide receiver, back. It felt like more than just calling plays. Cincinnati always feels like it's a rhythm offense. And it feels like they have an offensive head coach. They get out of ruts very quickly. But, my first thought about Joe Burrow is he reminds me of a little bit of Joe Montana and a little bit of Tony Romo. He moves like Romo, but I can remember watching Joe Montana, and this was, long before I was a talk show host, and watching Joe Montana, because I started in television. I didn't do this talk show thing till later in my career. Joe Montana, one of my takeaways from him is I could never quite figure out why Joe Montana was so great. It wasn't that big, didn't have a great arm. I just thought he was sort of situationally, and this is very rare, he was better in crisis than he was in week 5. He was better on 4th or 3rd and 3 than he was on 1st and 10. Just situationally excellent. Brady often had this. Michael Jordan had this. John Elway had this. But that's what I see with Burrow. He's almost a better quarterback in crisis. He's more laser focused, more intentional with his throws. He'll sling one up occasionally, not a wasted throw, but an experimental up the sideline. You get him into 3rd and 4, 4th down situations. He's just as good as they get. And he's got the Romo movement with the accuracy and the situational kind of excellence of a Joe Montana. And, he doesn't move like Lamar. He doesn't have the gun of Mahomes, Herbert. He doesn't, I don't think, have the kind of the natural gifts that, 14 years old that Trevor Lawrence had and has. But Burrow just makes it look so easy all the time. Josh Allen's great. It doesn't look easy. There's effort. He puts on the Superman cape. He jumps over people. He's running past people. He's throwing it over people. It doesn't look easy for him. He's just excellent. But, with Buffalo, I feel like it's just, I've given up hope on the Buffalo Bills developing a good run game. Defensive head coach, and offensive lines don't go that well together. If you look at the bottom of the NFL offensive line group, it's a lot of defensive coaches. The top's a lot of offensive coaches. I've given up on them running the football. So it becomes a very Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs reliant. And if you look at the Buffalo schedule coming up, this thing's going to get uglier. After Thanksgiving, at Philadelphia, at Kansas City, Dallas, Chargers, New England, at Miami. This was supposed to be the part of the schedule where they stacked up W's, but not like their Super Bowl window closed, because I don't even know if it was ever open with Mahomes in the AFC. But I just kind of feel like at some point, I say this all the time about quarterbacks. If you find yourself always blaming the play calling, the coordinator, or drop passes like they do with Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh, you don't have a great quarterback. I mean, C.J. Stroud right now has more career touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett. He's played 8 games, 8 or 9. C.J. Stroud is it. Like, he's a franchise guy. Kenny Pickett, a little bit of a fraud. Like, if you're blaming, that's the New York Giants with Daniel Jones before he was hurt today. It was always play calling. You're blaming the right tackle, drop passes. You don't have the right quarterback. I've said this before. Justin Herbert put up record numbers with Anthony Lynn and the lowest rated offensive line in the league, and put up rookie numbers. Well, you had Mike Williams and Keenan Allen when they were healthy. Mike Williams again out for the year when they were healthy. Either have a guy or you don't. Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl with a bad offensive line. So I just kind of look at Buffalo and Josh Allen, and again, that's how I feel with quarterbacks, but I also feel that way with coaches. Like, at some point with Sean McDermott, well, it's not just that the players are injured. It's not on Josh Allen. It's not on the coordinators. Who's running this circus? It's the coach. Again, Zach Taylor, we had questions about. He got Burrow to a Super Bowl. We all know Andy Reid is a great coach, but you start looking around, and the Bills have had the best safety tandem for years. They have a star receiver. Allen's in his, sixth or seventh year. They've had a good pass rush. They have a home field advantage. They've got declining New England, the goofy Jets, and Miami that doesn't play any defense in their division. And they're battling for their lives right now. So at some point with Sean McDermott, you're running this thing. I don't want to hear excuses. Quarterbacks and coaches, I don't want to hear excuses. Andy Reid was getting to NFC championships with quarterbacks I didn't even like, right? Like, I don't want to hear it. I mean, it's taken Sean Payton about 8 games, and then you watch Denver with all the issues he had to overcome. Russell Wilson's passer rating's in the 100. They're running the football, and they just beat the Chiefs. And Sean Payton's been asked to change the culture, fix the quarterback, get the receivers to mature. I mean, he's been asked to do all these things. And then I watch him beat the Chiefs. Takes him about 8 weeks. They got a run game. They got younger on defense. He's playing the young guys. Russell Wilson now is a complimentary quarterback. He figured it out. So I've given up in their run game with Sean McDermott. The offensive line is okay. It's still a Josh Allen reliant offense with no real rhythm. And the defense isn't as good as it was several years ago. So that's kind of my takeaway on Buffalo. A really talented team. I think they have the quarterback, but at some point, I don't want to hear excuses. I've just seen so many coaches. Look at what DeMeco Ryans is doing with Houston. That's a suboptimal owner, missing offensive lineman the first month of the season, rookie quarterback, rookie play caller. And Houston's just figuring out how to win games in the AFC. They're just figuring out how to win games. Right? Like, I don't want to hear it with Sean McDermott and the Bills. The Buffalo Bills, this very moment, are one game better than the Raiders. Hold on, let me put my glasses on. Yeah, one game better than the Raiders. The Buffalo Bills are 9th in the AFC. Come on. No more finger pointing. Buffalo's a smaller town, like a Pittsburgh or a Green Bay. Owners tend to be more loyal. The media is more supportive. But I mean, come on. There's just, you go so many years. And by the way, coaches like quarterbacks can have ceilings. Sean McDermott, Chuck Knox, a legendary Buffalo coach, went to the Seahawks later, kind of had a ceiling, right? Marty Schottenheimer felt like he could turn a football operation around. Very conservative, though, ultimately had a ceiling. That's kind of Sean McDermott. I feel like as the sport has pivoted to offense, he does a very good job organizationally to turn the Buffalo Bills around. But I think he's I feel like this is it. Like, he's not growing. He lost a great coordinator in Dable. Ken Dorsey's fine, but doesn't feel special. And I don't feel like the team's getting better. Not just players have ceilings. Coaches do too. And now for a segment we call Making It Look Easy, brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. This week, C.J. Stroud certainly made it look easy. The rookie quarterback for the Texans set a rookie quarterback record, 470 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. He made a couple of absolute spot on throws today. Just like CJ made it look easy, so does Morgan & Morgan. They make it so easy when you submit a claim. Over 100 offices nationwide, more than 800 lawyers, and over $15 billion in the history of the company in claims. They have a track record, a proven track record, getting you your full and fair compensation. Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people for over 35 years. If you're ever injured, go to forthepeople.com/Colin, forthepeople.com/Colin, or pound 529. Check out America's largest injury law firm. Winning in the NFL is hard. Hiring Morgan & Morgan is easy.